Hello and welcome to another episode. Today I have a need for speed. And I'm not talking about driving my car quickly. I'm not even talking about playing the amazing Burnout or Need for Speed games. I am of course referring to the amazing mid-90s 1994 action film Speed, starring our good friend Keanu Reeves. One of the very best, worst actors of all time. Everyone loves a bit of Keanu Reeves. My wife adores him. In fact, she had a bit of a crush on him and ended up marrying me. So, next best thing, obviously. But this film is a film which I absolutely loved as a teenager, as a child. My brother and I watched this film so much we actually ruined the VHS, the tape that it was on. The music started warping in the sort of introduction when the titles are being revealed and the sort of elevators going down a shaft. We ruined the video because we watched it so much. Why do we watch this film so much? Because it is relentless. Every moment in this film, you're going from one intense moment to the next, one intense scene to the next. The whole film starts out with the bad guy doing evil machinations, and he's the security guard goes, "I'm going to need to see your papers," and he goes, "Yeah, sure." Picks up his papers. There's a knife though behind the papers, and he stabs the guy in the side of the head and says, "Nothing personal," and the guy just drops to the floor, all sort of having been stabbed in the side of the head, of course. And this guy's been setting bombs on an elevator in which there's a whole load of people, one of whom's a total prick. He's kind of like, yeah, sure, push the button, Bob, but it was already on, man. Maybe it wasn't on. Maybe it needed checking. Prick. Anyway, so a whole lift, a whole elevator full of people, plus one prick, are in jeopardy because there's bombs all around it, set by the bad guy, just stabs someone in the head with a knife. In the ear with a knife. And then we have one of the best introductions of any action hero ever in all time, and that is a car just goes vroom, over the top of like the crest of a hill, this sort of steep road, lands on a hill, lands on the road, and then Harry and Jack, Jeff Daniels and Keanu Reeves get out of the car, start suiting up. They're ready to go because they are bomb specialists. They're technicians. This is just the beginning of the film. It's amazing. So the guys, they run up 32 floors, 64 flights of steps, and they're not even out of breath. Of course they're not. They unscrew a panel and they're checking out the lift in the lift shaft. And Keanu's like, Jack's like, "Something's wrong, man. He's going to blow this thing anyway." And Harry's like, hey, we've been told to stay, so we stay, we hold. And he goes, "Pop quiz, Jack. A terrorist's got a hostage and he's making his way to the plane at the airport. What do you do?" And Keanu's thinking, or Jack's thinking overtime. He's sort of chewing his chewing gum, looking up, looking down, looking around. "What do you do, man?" says Harry. And he goes, "What? Oh, you shoot the hostage," he says. "Shoot the hostage?" says Harry. "What? That's just bonkers." No, you go for the hostage. You shoot the hostage, go for the good wound. The hostage is useless. Then you got a clear shot at the terrorist. Everyone wins, says Jack. Harry's like, "You're crazy, man. You're reckless." And this kind of sets the two characters, their sort of a bit of backstory. It sets them in your mind. Harry is dependable. He's clever. He's methodical. Jack is impulsive. He's not stupid, but he's lucky. He's more lucky than he is clever. And in this moment he goes, "This guy's going to blow the thing anyway, man. We've got to do something." So they go up on the roof and they find a crane to put down to the elevator air shaft, sort of at the top, to hook onto the top so that it doesn't fall if the bombs go off. And while they're doing this, you get the music. The music comes into the film, and this music just drives the whole film, man. You got this sort of clearly, I'm like a human synthesizer. This amazing music, which is when they're looking for the crane, they go up on the roof, they're sort of scanning with their guns, they see the crane, they set it up so that they hook it onto the top of the elevator, the lift. And as they're doing it, Jack's like, "Remind me, man, why do we do this?" to Harry. And Harry's like, "Well, 30 more years of this and you get a crappy little pension and a shitty gold watch." And Jack's like, "Cool." So it's all set up. And the bad guy blows it anyway, 3 minutes early, and they're about to fall. Everyone's rescued there because the elevator sort of just about hold the weight of the, is just about held by the crane, and everything's okay. But the bad guy's plan has been ruined, and Jack's like, "You want to be in the building, man? He'd want to be in the building. And Harry's like, no, he'd be mobile. He wouldn't want to be here. He'd want to be here, but he wouldn't be here. Jack's like, yeah. What about the freight elevators? And they run over to the freight elevators, and he's in one of them. Dennis Hopper is in there doing bad things, and eventually he actually takes Harry hostage. And Harry is he's been hit in the face. He's sort of bleeding from the nose, being along, and Keanu Jack's like with his gun saying, keeping his gun on the bad guy, and he says something like, what do you do, punk? What do you do? And Harry says, shoot the hostage. And Jack's like, what? Shoot the hostage, says Harry, with the bad guy's arm around his neck. So Jack shoots him in the leg. Harry falls to the ground like a sack of potatoes, and Dennis Hopper suddenly hasn't got a hostage. So he just starts laughing maniacally, turns around, walks into a car park, and blows himself up, apparently. So, the bad guy's dead, the good guys win. They're both alive, it's all great, everything's superb. Wonderful, wonderful. Except it's not that simple. They get a medal from the city, and who's watching on TV? The bad guy, who's actually only got one thumb. And you're like, interesting, why has he only got one thumb? He's sort of clapping like that with his thumbless hand. And at the bar that night, Harry's sort of reflecting, he says, guts will only get you so far, man. Your luck will run out. You got to be careful. One day I'm not going to be here, he says. And Jack's like, whatever, calm down, relax, we won. So the next morning, and this is actually one night, apparently. Well, no, one night after the awards ceremony. Okay. Anyway, the next morning, Jack's getting his coffee, bumps into Bob. The names in this film are amazing. Bumps into Bob, the bus driver, and says, have a good one, man. And Bob goes, yeah, you too. Gets on his bus, drives off, and the bus blows up. And Jack sees this, runs, but it's too hot. He can't rescue his friend Bob. And there's a phone ringing, a payphone ringing. Of course there's a payphone ringing. This always happens in these films. Picks it up, and it's the bad guy. Dennis Hopper is like, do you have any idea how the commitment I put into that plan? You ruined my plan with the elevator, with the lift. You've got till 11 a.m. to pay me $3.7 million, I think, dollars, or I'm going to blow up another bus. And he gives him the bus number, and he says, you can go and try and stop it. If this bus goes over 50, the bomb is set. If it goes below 50, then the bomb will blow up. You can do what you want, but I want my money, says Dennis Hopper. And Jack's running, gets in his car, speeding around town, going around corners. Eventually, so he tries to get on the bus, but they won't let him on, so he hijacks another person's car, the Tune Man, the Jaguar. Eventually makes his way onto the bus, and the plot is in motion. Now, on the bus we have Annie, played by Sandra Bullock, of course, Sandra Bullock. And Annie has been disqualified from driving because she speeds. This is very, very convenient, because soon, because of some idiot on the bus, the driver gets shot and Annie has to take over driving duties. And it just keeps on going. The momentum of this film is just relentless. Everything that can go wrong will go wrong. I've just actually made a little list here just to make sure I don't get anything, miss anything here. First of all, they have to try and get off the freeway because suddenly it's sort of jamming up. There's this sort of bend that's too cramped, so they get off and they sort of ram into things. Truck backing onto the road, Annie has to turn left away from the truck. There's a baby carriage, they smash into that, but it's just canned. It's okay, it's not a baby, it's okay, it's fine. There's a hard right-hand turn. They go around this right-hand turn, almost crash the bus. Everyone has to go onto the inside of the bus kind of thing to stop it from sort of just flipping over. There's a news helicopter watching, so they can't actually get people off the bus. All the while, they can't go below 50 miles an hour. And then this panicky old lady says, "I need to get off, Annie. I need to get off the bus." Steps on the steps blow up, and she goes boom, underneath a wheel. And you're like, oh man, the first death of the film. Well, the first death of someone on the bus. God, that sucks. Now, they've discovered that by accessing the bomb using like an access panel, that the bomb has a gold watch on it. And bit by bit, Harry sort of pieces things together, and and they figure out that this is probably an ex-policeman who's involved with this bomb. But all the while, there's lots of little things happening. Like there's a whole bunch of 90s police guys on the back of a truck next to the bus. And I want you to look out in particular for one guy, and that is the guy with the sunglasses on. He looks like total 90s, which is absolutely perfect. There's also someone else on the bus who's a really overreacting whinger. Like, you see him, like, first thing he goes, "Yeah, whatever, man. Sure, there's a bomb on the bus." And then he goes something like, "What? Because you have a wife? That means I'm expendable? I don't have to survive?" And then he says something like, "How big is this gap?" when they're coming up to like a gap in the in the freeway. I'll come back to that in a moment. But this guy's such a whinger. Anyway, those are the things to look out for on the bus. But anyway, so the next problem is, yes, there's a gap in the freeway. There's like 50-foot gap. And if you watch this over, oh, it's so funny. The bus sort of launches at like a 45-degree angle off the motorway, off the freeway, and then somehow lands. I mean, it's going from like there to there, but somehow it gains altitude and then lands on the... It's so good! It's just so good! So yeah, a ridiculous jump. They end up at an airport and they're going round and round in circles. Eventually Jack sort of figures out what's going on and they decide to try and defuse the bomb. But that doesn't really work. Jack ends up sort of almost squashed by the bus. Harry sadly ends up dead because he's figured out where the bad guy lives, and the bad guy's obviously set a bomb at his house. So Jack's on his own. The brains has gone. It's just the brawn. It's just the instinct. It's just the guy who lives by his gut, who's left behind. And he figures out somehow that there's actually a camera watching the driver, because the driver is wearing I think it's Arizona State University jacket on her seat, the Wildcats football team, and that's what the bad guy's been calling the driver all the way through the film. They keep on having like phone conversations, you know. So he figures out what's going on, and they decide to sort of record the footage, the UHF signal that's coming out of the bus, and they feed it back to the bad guy using a news van. Everyone's saved. The bus goes blows up in a freight plane. Of course, Jack and Annie are the last ones off the bus, but they're safe because they sort of roll through, you know, plastic bollards. They're okay, and you think, but it's not over, because the bad guy, they reckon, thinks that the bus is still going because he's getting this signal still from the newscast van. So they make the drop for the money, and things go wrong, basically. Things go wrong. Dennis Hopper's all over that. He knows full well what's going on. He figures out that the loop is happening. He's really, really angry with this sort of looped footage that they try to trick him. He can see the snipers all over the place. And he actually gets in his police outfit, because he's a former police bomb disposal man himself, hence the missing thumb. And he actually captures Annie. He sort of says, yeah, Jack Travaney wanted you to come with me, and sort of takes her away. And Jack figures out what's going on in terms of the fact that Dennis Hopper knows about everything, and that he's taken the money from the drop point underground. Jack jumps down a hole, chases them onto a moving train, and on the moving train, on the subway train, there's this massive, incredible fight. They're sort of like they're shooting through the ceiling because the money had like a pink little bomb in it. So the Jack sort of Dennis Hopper opens the money bag and pink goes everywhere, all over him. And somehow he climbs onto the roof of the train where Jack is, even though he's got a thumb missing and as a dead man's stick in the other hand. Somehow he climbs up on top of the train, fights with Jack. Jack ends up winning the day by smashing the guy's head off using a lamp that's overhead. And then Jack ends up on the train. Now, sadly, Dennis Hopper has shot up the train panel, which actually, funnily enough, had Toby from The West Wing driving it. Yeah, interesting sort of non-speaking role there for Toby. Shut up the panel, and the train can't stop. So Jack decides to speed it up. He speeds it up, and they go up over the edge of a bend. They go whoosh, off the corner of a bend, smashing through a building site, up a ramp, and then out onto the street. And then that's the end of the film. That is the film. Now, obviously, I've just gone through quite a ridiculous ongoing rant about this film and its plot in a slightly over-the-top way. But this is basically exactly how the film makes me feel. It makes me feel exhilarated, I get excited, I feel giddy, I feel like a child just watching the thing, because I watched this so much when I was a little boy. Speed 2, I can take or leave that. To be honest, I kind of ignore that it ever happened, but Speed is just brilliant. The music, the characterization is exactly what you need for this film. Even though it's an action film. It's not a drama. It's not meant to be particularly deep. It's not It's not a character-driven piece, but the characterization is exactly what you require. You get this people's relationships, you understand where they're coming from. When, for example, Harry dies, it's a tragedy. You really feel it, and you feel the loss for Jack and that little team, the team that they have. The Dennis Hopper as the bad guy is brilliant. He's calculating, he's methodical, he's determined. And as he says, he goes, "No, Jack, poor people are crazy. I'm eccentric." When he thinks he's going to get away with the cash. Dennis Hopper does an amazing job in this film. You've got the relentless pace of the editing, and yet it never feels choppy. It never feels as though someone's just going with the editing tool. They are showing you shots, lingering shots of the bus going round corners, lingering shots from underneath the buses as you can actually see people in danger as they're passing underneath. This film keeps your attention because you feel everything that's going on, and even though it's completely ridiculous, even though it's completely over the top, even though it would probably almost certainly never happen. I mean, for example, of course the bad guy would find out that the bus is blown up because some prick from the news would film it from a distance and tell everyone on the news. You couldn't keep that sort of thing quiet, even though this plot is ridiculous. You let it go. You don't mind because you're just there. From the moment that car comes over the top of the hill, you are with these guys on this roller coaster ride. And Speed will always be one of my go-to feel-good 90s action films. It will always be one of the most fun times I've ever had with a DVD or indeed with VHS. It'll always be one of the best films that my wife and I can watch because she loves it too. You know, and people often go, "Oh, you can't watch action films with girls," but that's not the case at all. I mean, this film has it. You can't watch a mindless, dumb film with my wife because she wouldn't put up with that stuff. But Speed has just enough cheese. Just enough blue cheese to keep you going. Plus, as well, of course, it has Keanu Reeves, who my wife had a crush on, and I don't know, what can I say? You know, she ended up with me. I'm sure she's not disappointed at all. But yes, Speed is great. I just had to talk about this film. This isn't really a review. This isn't really a particularly in-depth analysis of the film. This is just me talking about it because I love Speed. So hopefully you like Speed too. If you like Speed, please let me know below. Please do comment. I would love to hear if you have any fond memories of this film. Did you also ruin your VHS tape of the movie by watching it too much? I certainly did. Anyway guys, as ever, until next time, do take care. Bye bye.